Ladies and gentlemen, let's proceed with our next session. Dear convention visitors, based on around 500,000 interviews, the World Travel Monitor is considered the world's largest travel survey. The convention presents the latest forecast data about global and European travel behavior, an indispensable basis for decision-making for the entire tourism industry. We are excited to learn more about IPK's latest forecast data about global travel behavior. Before it, let's see how you estimate the travel trend this year. Can we have our next live voting question, please? The question is, how do you rate the growth of international tourist numbers this year? Please just give one answer. Compared to 2016, the number of international tourists will, number one, grow by less than 4% in 2017. Number two, grow between 4 and 6% in 2017. And number three, grow by more than 6% in 2017. Ladies and gentlemen, please vote now with your remote control device on your seats. Please vote now. Okay, the majority, more than 50%, says it grows between 4 and 6%. Rolf, let's see what your data say in a moment. Our next speaker is Rolf Freitag. He founded IPK International in 1969. The company has specialized in tourism research, tourism marketing, and tourism master planning. During his professional career, Rolf Freitag has successfully completed more than 1,000 projects in 50 countries worldwide. In 1988, IPK International launched the conduction of the World Travel Monitor, a study surveying the travel behavior in European, North and South American, Arabian, as well as Asian markets. Today, the World Travel Monitor is the world's sole and largest tourism study conducted in more than 60 countries based on 500,000 interviews per year. Since more than 10 years, Rolf Freitag is a permanent guest at ITB's Future Day. His latest forecast data are highly relevant for the global tourism industry. Therefore, his presentation with many facts is highly esteemed. Rolf, please, stage is yours.
So, good afternoon, especially ladies, International Women's Day. Normally, my presentation is in blue and white, and our ladies at the office have decided that I have to present in green for you. So, for the rest, you will see now high noon, a battle between our knowledge and your crowd intelligence. With a forecast, you say between 4 and 6%. We will see what we have found. So all information today are based on preliminary final results of IPK's World Travel Monitor survey from January to December 2016, as well as on our historical database from identical global representative World Travel Monitor surveys from 2011 to 2015. So you will get 5-year trends in addition to the results from 2016, and you will get our forecast for 2017, which to my mind is quite interesting. Short information about IPK's World Travel Monitor. It is a continuous outbound travel demand monitoring since 1988. More than 500,000 representative interviews per year. And we make worldwide interviewing, and it guarantees global comparability. Worldwide standardized questionnaire. It's easy to write it, but what does it mean, worldwide standardized? Of course, the same questions, but do we have the same translations? There are about 60 languages. So our translation in the questionnaire must be identical to to the original version, which is the English one. So we always have to retranslate from Chinese, Han Chinese, whatever it is, or Spanish, into English. So we display all inbound and outbound travel. Inbound is meaning people arriving in destinations. Outbound is meaning departure from markets of origin to the world. And we detect all outbound travel market segments if it's at least one night stay abroad. So not only holiday, but also business travel, visit of friends and relatives, and so on. So the whole total entire world overnight stay market. We cover more than 90% of global outbound demand. In Europe, 33 countries where we run our World Travel Monitor, 99% market coverage. In the Americas, 13 countries, 90% market coverage. And in Asia and Middle East, 17 countries, 88% market coverage. So also in 2016, you know all this, many destinations were in distress. We have this since 2-3 years already. Islamic unrest, Ukraine crisis, terror attacks, revival of nationalism, especially in parts of Europe, refugees flooding Europe, millions, heavy impact of digital change. So has a travel risk really exploded? Our studies differentiate between two types of travel risk. You have permanent, always ongoing travel risk, and you have occasional travel risk. And the World Travel Monitor has been investigating these risks since 2001. Permanent travel risks are, for example, health problems, let's say serious health problems, serious crime incidents, and other types of incidents, like car accident and so on. So 4%, which is meaning 4% is meaning 1 out of 25 travelers has suffered last year serious health problems on the trip. 24 were perfect, but one was seriously sick. That is meaning the good message is 96% are healthy, safe, and return better than they have left home, but 4% suffer. What kind of problems did they have? What are typical outbound travel health risks? Above all, stomach problems, but serious stomach problems, allergies, serious infections, and accidents. The interviewers have also reported a significant number of dead travelers, but this we cannot control because we cannot interview these poor victims. Three percent of outbound travelers suffer crime incidents on the trip. That is 33 million crime victims last year in international travel. But 97% safe travel. What kind of crime was happening? Above all, theft of cash, credit card, handbag. It's 40%. Car break-in, theft, about a little bit, 30%. And fraud during exchange, but serious fraud, not 1 penny. So, but our World Travel Monitor results prove that health and crime risk can be reduced by 70% if you are careful. You can take care. You must not suffer these problems. First of all, it's especially a big problem of young travelers, and I must say it, also it's World Women's Day today, but ladies between 18 and 30 years have by far the highest risk on a trip. Because they don't take care. They're happy, so wonderful holidays, they forgot, he's so nice, and then the handbag was gone. Also by avoiding mass tourism destinations in the high season, that's where we have a much higher rate of crime. By choosing low-risk types of holiday. For example, funny enough, for mountain holiday, winter holiday have a very high crime risk. Summer holidays in the mountains are the safest type of holiday. So they can also choose low-risk accommodations or spending more. The more you spend, the safer you are, usually. And parents with children travel 6 times safer, also seniors. They take more care. Of course, you take care for your children. So the other question is, and everybody speaks about this, what do we know about terror travel risk? So since terror has reached key outbound markets of world tourism, as well concerning the impact on destinations, and not to forget concerning types of holiday, target groups and so on, we have included terror into our continuous World Travel Monitor survey to see what is the real problem. Here you see the result. 45% of potential outbound travelers have serious terror concerns. They are worried. That is a danger for business. It was last year, in February, it was 39% of outbound travelers or people who planned to travel abroad had serious concerns and were not sure if they will go. In October it was 45%, and now again in February it is 45%. Nearly 1 out of 2 has serious concerns. Why? Terror has been since several years the mega media event. I say media event. But this has nothing to do with travel reality. In German we used to say, da werden Schweine, wie sagt Schweine durchs getrieben. Okay. Okay. The risk to be durch den Stall getrieben oder irgend, I don't know. Okay, the risk to become victim of a terror attack while being on a trip abroad is only 0.0000001%. There is quite no risk. So the high terror risk sensitivity does not make sense at all. To repeat, we have 4% travel health risk, 3% crime risk, but 45% perceived terror risk, and in reality only 0.1 real terror risk. Of course terror is horrible, but it is not a high risk for a traveler. So how has the global travel year 2016 developed? The world economy has developed less dynamic than expected in 2016. I quote IFO, we have good cooperation with IFO. They see the global economy on a growth path between recession and recovery. In between, maybe a little bit up, a little bit down, just as it was during the last 3 years. But domestic travel continued to grow, plus 3%. It's about 7 billion domestic trips. World population is also about 7 billion, so it's meaning, as an average, there's 1 domestic trip per global inhabitant. And the growth is about 210 million more domestic trips every year around the globe. It's huge growth. International travel, outbound travel, did even better. We have registered 1,082 million trips, and on average over the last 10 years, 40 million outbound trips more every year. It's a boomer, this market. It continues to boom. So, world outbound trip volume was this, I have told you, 1,082 million. That's our World Travel Monitor. WTM is World Travel Monitor. But our travelers spend quite often not only one night in one country, but maybe they combine 2 countries or even more. On average, on the global level, they visit 1.14 countries per trip. Altogether, we have the international arrivals in the countries, and that is what also UNWTO reports. The trip performance was plus 4%. In reality, these are the preliminary final results, where actually our computer says 4.2%. But let's take it as around 4%. The world outbound overnight volume 2016, 8.2 billion nights, which is per global inhabitant 1.2 nights. Growth was plus 5.1%. Due to increase in number of trips, 4% of the growth came from the more travelers, and 1.1% came from longer stay. For the first time last year, people stayed longer than the previous years. Mean length of stay is abroad, outside the country, is now 7.6 nights. When it comes to growth, you see the incredible number of overnight stays, 400 million more overnight stays. And these 400 million more overnight stays need 2 million more beds per year. Big investment need. When it comes to the money growth was even plus 7%, and spending per trip was up 3%. So the mean spending now is outbound, for an outbound trip is 1,156 euro, or about $1,200 if you're from the American area. Interesting enough, we have about 4.5% luxury travelers, but they create more than 15% of global outbound turnover because they are high spenders. But luxury travel, our definition is spending more than 750 euro per night for a trip. So the international travels creates close to 5% value of global GDP, including the multiplicator impact. It's a very important sector. And if you add the domestic travel, then you come up to about 10%. That's also what the World Tourism Organization is reporting. So world tourism turnover, half is outbound travel, half is domestic travel. So the tourism continues to be of great importance for global economy. You see, the global growth, the domestic product was increased. The GDP was growing by, let's say, the world income was growing by 3.1%, but the number of trips increased by 4%. The number of nights increased by 5.1%, and the turnover by 7%. So we could say more or less outbound growth is twice as high as global GDP growth. Despite terror, tourism continues to be a key driver of global economy, more and important than ever before, and also more stable growth rates. So last year we have seen an all-time high from Asia. It continues last year plus 9%. We have seen an all-time high from South America. Travelers from South America traveling to the world plus 5%. All-time high from North America plus 3% more. All-time high from Europe also plus 3%. They're speaking about problems and crises in Europe and so on. The market was growing. What we can see over the years, here we make a comparison with over the last 5 years, is a rising market share of para-hotelery, let's say non-hotelery accommodations. And that is mainly due to sharing hospitality. Overall, 59% of nights are spent in hotels, and 41% has been spent in non-hotels, like visit of friends and relatives, holiday home, holiday flats, and so on. So the growth rate for para-hotelery was plus 26% and hotelery 21%. Within the hotel segment, the growth is nearly only happening in the 4- and 5-star segment. And in the para-hotelery, the main growth driver was what we call sharing hospitality or sharing accommodations. You can see a figure. Last year, more than 60 million outbound trips were booked via sharing hospitality platforms. It's 6% of total hospitality bookings. Where did they book? What did they book? Mainly apartment flat, holiday home, private rooms. So above all, apartments and flats. And who are the clients? Our ladies. Below 35 years, well educated, on a city or touring trip. That is the typical sharing hospitality client. So when we come to the holiday segments, the biggest holiday segment is also today the global one. Forget your country, the globally seen. 28% of outbound holidays around the globe are sun and beach. And over the last 5 years, it's a very old segment. Since many years we see this type of holidays, but nevertheless over the 5 years, 31% growth in number of trips. That's real growth. It's not inflation or whatever it is. Key sun and beach holiday motivations 2016 were above all relaxing, sunbathing, swimming, enjoying meals and drinks, and shopping. That's meaning when you advertise a sun and beach holiday, you must profile these 5 keys to the success. These are the key benefits for motivating travelers. Second biggest segment are now city trips. And look for the incredible growth. It has nearly doubled over the last 5 years. 26%, it's meaning 1 out of 4 outbound holidays, and huge growth rate. It was the boomer of the last years. Key holiday motivations 2016 was sightseeing, visiting objects of interest, sauntering, enjoying the atmosphere. As the second most important, that's a rank order, you know. Shopping, third one, enjoying meals and drinks, one more, and visiting museums and exhibitions. These are the key motivators if you want to advertise your city. Let's take a third segment. The third biggest are touring holidays, which is meaning driving around, combining different cities or landscapes. It's 19%. It's meaning nearly 1 out of 5 international trips. But growth rate was very modest last year, plus 6%. But 6% is higher than the total market. The total market was up 4%. Key motivations, benefits, visiting objects of interest above all, visiting cities, knowing the landscape, relaxing, and again, museums and exhibitions. Okay, so we have seen over the last 5 years big growth around the globe. Where did the growth come from in terms of volume? 42% of the global growth over the last 5 years came from Asia. Asia was the main driver of international travel. But also Europe. Europe, 34% of global growth came from Europe. A mature market is still providing huge growth potential, followed by North America and South America. Top 10 international travel destinations. The rank order depends if you see it in spending, in nights, or in trips. And it's not always the same rank order of countries. Just to see here, concerning the trips, number 1 is now Spain, bypassing the United States last year, with a growth rate of plus 12%. Number 2 is USA, 3 Germany, 4 Italy, 5 France, United Kingdom, Mexico, Austria, China, and Canada. For China, I must explain, in our monitor, we don't include the travel from Hong Kong and Macau to China. If you include the trips from Hong Kong people and Macau people to China, then China is the number 1 in the world. That depends on your definition. On the one side, it's part of Greater China. On the other side, when you leave Hong Kong for China, you must go outbound at the gate. So it's up to you how to decide. Anyhow, concerning the nights, rank order is similar, but there the United States still top due to the longer stay in the country. So which are the top leading metropolitan destinations? Metropolitan is meaning the city plus its surroundings, because travelers today don't only go to Paris, but maybe they have some sightseeing around Paris, like Disney and whatever it is. So we are measuring this, and number 1 for us is Hong Kong. We see the number of million of visitors. Number 2 is New York City now. Last year, number 2 has been, does somebody remember? No. It was Paris. Paris is no more here. Why? Number 3, London, stayed. Number 4, Bangkok. Number 5, Paris. And what we can see here is the terror impact on the arrivals in Paris. But Paris now is slowly coming back in this year, what we have seen since end of the year. Barcelona, including close Costa Brava, Dubai, Singapore, Kuala Lumpur, followed by Berlin, Munich, Tokyo, and Seoul, with some 10 million visitors each. Concerning the business outbound travel market, it was stagnating once more, but with a dramatic change in the structure. It's only stagnating because the traditional business trips, you go to a place to present your company, to sell, to buy, and so on, to repair, and so on. This part was decreasing by 7% last year. But the MICE travel continued to boom, plus 22% over these 5 years. So we are living in the information society. Information is what we call a production factor, and people travel for tanking know-how. Here, brain feeding. You go to the places where the people know more than me about a certain subject, and that makes traveling them around the globe. So when we speak today about business travel, it's above all meaning MICE travel. Fairs, conventions, and so on. Not the old type of travel, business travel. Because a good part of the traditional business travel, I know it from my own company, is replaced by Skype conferences. We make a lot of Skype conferences instead of taking the plane. So another point is how trustworthy are information sources when it comes to travel planning. And that's the global mind. It's not Germany or France, it's the total over all markets of origin of international travel. Above all, very trustworthy is friends and relatives, recommendations of friends and relatives. That is the real multiplicator. Also trustworthy are travel agencies, national, regional, and local tourism offices, complement to their work, internet supply information sources, supply information sources. I don't speak now about demand in information sources. Travel guidebooks. To my mind, they make a revival, the travel guidebooks, because they give in-depth information to what you find on the internet. Somewhat less trustworthy are social media information, newspapers, magazines, television, radio, advertising like ads, posters, and flyers. So everybody in the marketing is choosing, we make social media, and that's our marketing instrument. It is so far a weak marketing instrument. It's most of the time, it's cheap, but it's weak. It doesn't create enough sales. So the most trustworthy online information source when it comes to travel planning this year will be official websites of embassies and chambers of commerce. People believe in the authorities still. Websites for flight, train, or transportation offers. Website of a country, city or travel destination. Booking websites like booking.com, Expedia, and so on, there are many. And review sites like TripAdvisor. Maybe many of you have also used, by booking in Berlin, this, I don't know, TripAdvisor, for example. Less trustworthy in internet information sources when it comes to travel planning. And that's not me who says it. It's coming from the survey. So the people say it. Our 500,000 interviews. Less trustworthy are wikis, articles in online magazines, live casting, photo, video sharing, podcast, YouTube, Pinterest, Instagram, and so on. And social networks like Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Google, and so on. Sorry for Google. Okay. So how did travelers book last year their international trip? 70% using the internet, 30% using without internet. Change. Internet was growing. Over the last years, we have seen every year plus 10% internet and so on. Now slowly we come to the saturation point, so the growth rates are getting smaller. But also without internet had a small plus below world average, but what was booked online? 55% were booking accommodation plus transportation. 28% only the transportation, that's a flight usually, or a rental car, and 17% only accommodation. Change, last year, we have a big growth in accommodation and transportation. We can say an explosion. Also, yeah, you see, in general, there was fantastic growth in this field. So, key decision makers for online accommodation bookings 2016, it is above all the nightly rate, how much I have to spend. Secondly, the review score from TripAdvisor, whoever it is, and attractive images. These are the big key points to make business on the internet. Plus, additional decision variables are the location, where it is located in the city, is it a nice location, and the brand, is it Hilton or whatever it is. But this is less important than the nightly rate, the review score, and attractive images. So, one point is digital century, will travel agency be needed in the digital world? We have these bookings, and they are trustworthy, but 61% of travel agency bookings now went via internet. So online booking is not in contradiction with travel agency. Travel agencies now have found the way to participate in the digital growth of the world markets. So they will remain an important place for outbound bookings in the digital world because they are considered as trustworthy booking places. and because they have started to adopt to the digital century, changing their offers, in-depth offers. You know, now you can 3D, modern travel agencies offer you a 3D view of your destination and so on. There are many technical possibilities now, and more they use it. They were late, but now it is coming. Because the digitalization does not stop in front of tourism. The influence of Google, we have heard before, Facebook, Microsoft, Amazon, and Apple on consumer travel bookings and travel sales will grow fast. In particular by the use of virtual sales assistants. You can see incredible things now in a modern travel agency, like an experience in the holiday destination, the use of digitalized payment and accounting technology, which makes life easier when booking, the integration of social media channels in sales, and online travel agencies with meta search elements like this will become global brands soon. We believed in the past that the number one stakeholder will be the traditional big tour operators, for example, in Europe. But this was wrong. Newcomers are making the business, and now the old ones try to adopt it. So some outperforming international boomers over the last 5 years. It was Asian outbound, the real number one boom, but also city trips. We have seen 98% plus over 5 years. Cruise holidays, growth rate even 200%. Sun and beach holidays, and MICE. MICE, you know what it is. Meeting, incentive, and so on, convention events. Plus, internet bookings and sharing hospitality. So how will travel year 2017 be? Now comes the guru. But I tell you only what the people tell us around the globe. So global recession might come to an end in 2017. In most emerging markets, we expect a stabilization. In Asia, moderate growth will be supported by financial and monetary policy. Anyhow, Asia, moderate growth for Europeans, it's stupid to say it because the growth rates will nevertheless be around 5 or 6 or 7%. In Europe, we have small problem. And in North America and Europe, a moderate recovery will continue. You can see it here from IFO, the forecast. This year plus 3.4% GDP growth. Okay, what I want to show you now are the global travel intentions for 2017 based on our survey. Every 6 months, in February and in October, we are posing prospective questions, meaning questions concerning the future, not the past, regarding outbound travel intentions for this year. In Europe, in South America, in North America, and in Asia. And we have to aggregate it. We come to what we call the Travel Confidence Index, or World Travel Confidence Index. Just to make it easy, if this index is higher than 100, it indicates that this market should grow. Around 100 is growth threshold, let's say more or less, maybe +1, plus or -1, and more below is 100 decrease. So the Asian Outbound Travel Confidence Index 2017, you see it is on 105, which is meaning a growth about around 5% can be expected. So in Asian travel intentions are at an ongoing high level, but somewhat less booming than it was about 2-3 years ago. But still a boomer. And this is normal when markets become more ripe, they approach one day saturation. Let's go to North America, which is mainly USA. Very positive. After a long crisis, North America was, after the financial crisis, the only continent, or half continent, where the market was really shrinking. And now it is back to an index of 105, which is meaning a clear sign of we can expect growth from this market as a market of origin. South American index is positive. It's returned to positive. It was in crisis when I was standing here last year. We had signs of stagnation, but now it's back to the positive. There seems to be a stabilization of the markets. And Europe continues solid outbound growth. Not exploding like Asia, but Europe is a ripe market. So 3% in a ripe market is quite a lot. So our forecast by continent for Asia, it is about actually 5.5%. You could also say 6% or 5%. That is the forecast. North America, very positive. South America plus 3%, and Europe plus 3% too. So our forecast for world outbound travel 2017 is plus 4% trips, which might be in terms of turnover plus 7%. However, terror fear will still impact outbound travel behavior in 2017. We cannot yet forget these events. There seems to be another shift towards safer destinations. We were asking our people, and 16% even told, maybe we will not travel abroad, but only domestic. Or some, very few, say we will not travel at all. And 29% of the global demand says, yes, but we might shift to safer destinations, non-terror affected destinations. And no change of travel behavior, 55%. That's meaning nearly half of the world outbound market might be impacted by this terror feeling, which is a stupid feeling when we have seen the risk is 0.00001. But in the mind of people, maybe let's choose a safer destination, and this might change the picture again, the business. Endangered markets of origin might be in 2017, above all Russia, as an outbound market. That's meaning tourists coming from Russia. South Korea, China, so Korea, China, Asia, they are more worried about terror than in Europe, where it has happened with attempts. Brazil, Hong Kong, USA, and so on. Endangered destinations. Turkey has the weakest safety image around the globe. 76% of global outbound travelers believe actually that Turkey is a place, a very dangerous place, or better not to go for the moment. This has two reasons, because, of course, the terror attacks you hear, and also what we have seen is also that the country image due to political situation did not improve at least. And this has also sometimes reactions. Okay, Israel is always endangered in this Near East area. Egypt too, Tunisia, Jordan, Morocco. France is not yet away from these terror attacks, and Saudi Arabia. What we also can see is, I don't like to speak about politics, but USA is now I think it's 34% are worried. That has to do with recent politics. But some destinations might really take advantage. It's above all Canada, Switzerland, Australia, whole Scandinavia, Austria, Poland, Portugal, Netherlands, Spain, Croatia, and China as a destination. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your attention.